Glass is the weakest link. You can secure your doors, you can lock them down all you like, and what we've seen, and I hate to give examples, but Sandy Hook scenario back in 2015 is a perfect example of this. They followed protocol to the absolute letter, and what the active shooter did was he shot through a side light, smashed it with the butt of his gun, reached his hand in, opened the door, and was in the building in seconds. So it kind of highlights that glass is the weakest link there. Unless you reinforce your glass, you can kind of do everything else, and you're still allowing for easy access. And it isn't always about access denial. As I said, sometimes it can be just about buying enough time for the other protocols to fall into place. So the window safety and security, or security and safety report, the key findings were that glass is destined to fail. In windstorm scenarios, in bomb blast scenarios, in active shooter scenarios, and sadly enough, first responders aren't enough. They can't get to these a lot of times to these scenarios quickly enough, and natural disasters are a growing concern. I hate to be doom and gloom, but it's the modern world we live in. I apologize. So the interesting facts that we've seen are 35% of responders stated that their glass windows and or doors are broken at least once a quarter through one thing or another. 43% of participants said their glass doors and windows are the security systems most likely to fail. And we've seen it time and time again, where and this is why we say glass is the weakest link, because as said, you can harden the rest of the building, as much as you want. But in times of civil unrest, we were looking at streets and streets and streets, and I'm sure you saw it, plastered all over the media, even where gates weren't working, shutters weren't working. So glass, even with those shutters and with those gates, was still the weakest link. It was still the areas that, the civil unresters were kind of attacking because they know that, they know if they go through, they're not going to get through a steel door. So 44% of the respondents said they aren't sure what type of glass windows or doors they have in their building, and that's fairly commonplace because a lot of these buildings are older, and with some of the security measures that we can put in place, a lot of times, unless it's a solar security film, the actual type of glass doesn't really matter, because anything that we can do to harden it is going to improve the performance of that glass, and that's ultimately what we're trying to do. Yeah, so this is an interesting one. Protection professionals. I have a law enforcement background. Have very little confidence in the ability of their glass doors and windows to protect people inside their buildings from bomb blasts, gunfire, severe weather, or earthquakes. So just kind of some interesting feedback there. And 71% of respondents don't believe first responders such as security guards or law enforcement arrive quickly enough to prevent loss. Now, what I'll layer in there is a little bit of experience and context that NGS have. We've been installing security film for the past 15 years, not predominantly on commercial buildings and schools, albeit the last 6 to 8 years have seen a growth in that. Historically, it was national retailers. So we install security film for T-Mobile, Verizon, Ross, Ulta, national retailers across the board. And again, what we're seeing is they were having sustained attacks where they were because of the geographical location and they were in, because they were an easy target, they would get there would be attempted break-ins on a weekly basis. So I'll show you the difference between a couple of our tiers of systems that can help with that as well. So yeah, 63% of respondents said that protecting people and property from natural disasters is a growing area of concern.